Ito po, I just would like to get the opinion so far. Ano po yung pagtingin ng CHR? Kung halimbawa, doon din sa mga involved sa illegal drug trade na mga matataas din na opisyal at mga personalities, halimbawa po, in the event na may makuha ng mga earnings nila mula sa kanilang involvement doon sa ganong hindi magandang mga aktibidad, ano po yung pagtingin ng CHR if meron din pong pera mula doon na gamitin as source ng compensation doon sa mga tens of thousands na mga pamilya na biktima ng war on drugs?
Pag wala pa hong stand ang komisyon tungkol dyan, maaari po namin pag-aralan at siguro pwede ho kami mag-submit ng recommendations kung sakali man sa Kongreso.
Sige, so on our part, sa office din po namin sa Kabataan, Madam Chair, we can formalize this idea at ipepresent po din po natin sa CHR para makunan po ng posisyon. Salamat po doon. Next, Madam Chair, sa ilan pang mga programs ng CHR like Human Rights Protection Program, magkano po ba ang original proposal and magkano po ang nasa itong current na budget na tinatalakay po natin?
Ang allotment po namin for protection services is 336,883,000.
Ito po yung nasa National Expenditure Program.
Opo.
How much naman po yung original na pinropose ng CHR?
Ay, yung nabanggit ko po is 2024
Okay.
budget. Ang aming proposal po for protection is ay 220. I-check ko lang po yung ano. Eto. For protection. Pwede yung isubmit na lang po namin sa inyo yung, or gusto niyo pong sabihin namin ngayon yun?
Mas mainam po para din po on record at makita din po namin na kung kailangan nga rin naman talaga na taasan pa to meet your original proposal para po makonvince din po natin yung mga kapwa natin mambabatas sa Committee on Appropriations na kapag usapin po ng karapatan ng mga kababayan natin, dapat ay hindi natin siya tinitipid, binibigay talaga natin yung nararapat na pondo.
Ito. For protection, sa 2024 GAA po ay 308,980,000. Ang binigay ho sa amin under the NEP ay 306,690,000. Pero ang original request po namin ay protection. Tama. Ang original request po naman ay 453,418,000.
Okay, that's duly noted, Madam Chair. Yung other two noteworthy programs din po, yung Human Rights Promotion Program, gusto din po natin makuha yung figures. Tapos, para po mai-check na rin yung Human Rights Policy Advisory Program. Yun po, dalawa.
Proposal po namin for Human Rights Promotion Program ay 137,896,000. At for under 2024 GAA po, ang binigay sa amin ay 83,101,000. And under the 2025 NEP, 84,290,000. For Policy Advisory Program, ang original request po ay 79,464,000. Ang under GAA 2024 ay 79,023,000. And under the 2025 NEP, 80,896,000.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. And to wrap up this interpellation, given the urgent need para i-bolster pa ang human rights protection sa bansa natin, and given na, well, kahit sa ngayon pa rin naman, no, under the current administration, ay meron pa ring mga state forces, state agents na nagva-violate pa rin dun sa karapatan, lalo ng mga kababayan natin. All the more na dapat ay matiyak natin na ang CHR ay napopondohan po ng tama. Yun lang po, Madam Chair, and thank you sa CHR family.
Thank you very much. And just a reminder to submit all those documents requested by Raul Manuel. And next to interpellate is Representative Jaime Fresnedi.
Yes, good morning, ma'am. Good morning to the family of CHR. I just would like to say that in 2013, Congress passed a Republic Act known as Human Rights Victims Reparation and Recognition Act of 2013. And this was passed purposely to compensate the victims of the violations committed during the period from September 21, 1972 to February 25, 1986. And there is this Board of Claims which was responsible for the compensations of the victims of during this period. And it was already, the job was already finished. Considering, Madam Chair, that we continuously, the Human Rights Commission, continuously investigating extrajudicial killing, which was perpetrated supposedly by state agents. Is the Commission not thinking of providing compensation for the victims of human rights?
Maraming salamat po. Isa ho sa mga mahalagang tignan po sana ay hindi lamang po extrajudicial killings. Dapat po lahat ng grave human rights violations should be compensated. Pwede ho kami mag-submit ng recommendations dito, tungkol dito. But the idea is victims of human rights violations, especially those grave ones, should be compensated by the state. And we will provide recommendations po if you would require us.
Right now, Madam Chair, there is ongoing investigations of extrajudicial killings and other sorts of crimes being investigated by the Congress, the Quadcom. May we know, Madam Chair, the take of the human rights Commission on this matter, Madam Chair, on the investigation being conducted by Quadcom?
Well, the Commission supports the investigation by the Quadcom, Your Honor. In fact, we are being invited as one of the resource persons of the Quadcom. We were supposed to attend in the hearing in Pampanga, but we were informed that our attendance is not required yet, so we did not attend. But since the Quadcom is investigating the extrajudicial killings, I would like to mention, Your Honor, that the Commission is conducting its own independent investigation on the extrajudicial killings. In fact, we recently updated our, we reconstituted our EJK task force to complete the investigation of the Commission on Human Rights on the cases of killings in relation to the drug war.
Madam Chair, I just would like to know if the Commission is not being offended by this ongoing investigation being conducted by Quadcom, considering that this is supposedly the primary duties of the Commission, Madam Chair.
Yes, Your Honor. We have different mandates, Your Honor. The Commission investigates human rights violations. On the other hand, the Congress, the House of Representatives, investigates the matter in aid of legislation, Your Honor. There's no conflict in that. So we have no negative or whatever reactions to the hearings conducted by the House, Your Honor.
And also, Madam Chair, I read that it is also a mandate of the Commission to monitor the conditions of the detention and rehabilitation facilities across the country. Considering, Madam Chair, that we have 7 national penitentiary institutions in the country, 477 jails, and hundreds of detention cells, can the Commission really monitor all these jails and detention cells and national penitentiaries, Madam Chair?
Yes, Your Honor. As of 2023, Your Honor, the Commission was able to visit and inspect 951 places of deprivation of liberty. And as of 2024 June, we have already visited and inspected 517 places of deprivation of liberty.
Meaning to say, Madam Chair, that the Commission can really fulfill their mandates as far as monitoring of the detention facilities. Considering, Madam Chair, that I noticed that in the past 5 years, you have more than 20% unfilled positions in your structures. In 2020, the unfilled position is 21%. In 2021, 21.83%. In 2022, 23.19%. In 2023, 24.43%. And in 2024, 23.42%. Madam Chair, if the Commission can increase the unfilled positions, can increase the filled positions, I believe that it will make easy for them to really comply or do their job, not only in monitoring the different jails, detention facilities, penitentiary, but also the different complaints being lodged before their office, Madam Chair.
Yes, Your Honor. Regarding the unfilled positions, Your Honor, we have intensified our recruitment process. In fact, we have an increase. Kailan? No. We have 38 appointed. In 2023, we have appointed 54. And in 2024, June, we have already appointed 38. So a total recruitment of 92 employees, Your Honor. But there are also corresponding retirements, resignations, and different promotions. So we have increase and a corresponding decrease in the manpower, Your Honor. But yes, I agree with Your Honor that the increase of the manpower will help in the Commission's performance of its mandate, not only in jail visitation, but also in other core functions of the Commission, Your Honor.
That will be all, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And let's move on to the next interpolator, my seatmate, Representative Rodante Marcoleta.
Salamat po, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, may I know from the CHR if they are cognizant of the fact that KOJC is a religious organization?
Yes, Your Honor.
And considering, Madam Chair, that it is a religious sect, and I believe the CHR knows that several thousands of PNP members trooped to their compound and stayed there for several days, and I think up to today they're still there. Did you happen to investigate whether there are civil rights violated by the members of the PNP in encamping in their compound?
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, the Commission is investigating the incidents concerning the KOJC, Your Honor.
What did you find out initially?
The field or our regional office is still conducting its investigation, and we expect the regional office to submit its recommendation the soonest, Your Honor. And yes, I agree with you that there are several rights that may be involved here. One of which is, as you mentioned, the religious freedom of the KOJC members, and there may be other civil liberties that may be affected, Your Honor.
Yes, and earlier, Madam Chair, we noted that the CHR acceded to one of our interpellators' proposition that preventive is the better side of the CHR's function, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And before everything else happened, like what you said, that there might have been several acts already done in violation of their civil and political rights, did you not bother to at least post some of your members or anybody there even before the events unfolded so that we could have prevented most of it, if not all?
We had, Your Honor. In fact, we assigned at least 3 investigators in the area, Your Honor, as early as September 1.
Did they have the power to restrain or even advise the members of the PNP as to the action that they should do in relation to possible violations of their political and civil rights?
They have no power to prevent, Your Honor, but they can advise. the state actors.
Did they advise the state actors?
Yes, Your Honor. In fact,
And what did the state actors do after being advised?
and as we all know, Your Honor, they proceeded.
Considering, Madam Chair, that it is a religious denomination, I would surmise that the worship services were interrupted. Some activities connected with the religious belief might have been interrupted. And these are serious violations of their political and civil rights. Maybe like marriage are being celebrated in that compound. Baptism probably, anything you might think, activities that is related to their faith. And today, that is still existing. I think they're still prevented from doing that. What does the CHR intend to do or have done in the first place?
Our regional office, Your Honor, is currently investigating the situation, monitoring the situation, and in fact, we already
Investigating and monitoring, Mr. Chair,
different
will not be-
ones, Your Honor.
is not good enough. Considering the unfolding of events in several days and continuing up to today, I think CHR should do something because we need to protect them. Protecting their human rights is the center of the function of the CHR. Am I
Yes,
correct?
yes, Your Honor. But before the commission acts on the situation and to perform whatever is necessary, we have to conclude our investigation. So we have to determine based on our
By
own
investigation, sir, you mean you are able to identify the persons, the number of persons, and their acts, and the damage or damages suffered, or the number of acts that constituted violations of their civil and political rights?
Yes, Your Honor. Those are among the details that we might need.
And when can this committee receive a report so that probably even Congress can act on it and do something about it?
Yes, Your Honor. As soon as the investigation is concluded, Your Honor, and the commission and bank.
You have a time frame, sir?
Ano ba time frame natin?
I'm sorry for being insistent, but this is violation of civil and political rights. You need to protect people.
We understand, Your Honor. That's why we directed our regional office to expedite the investigation. In fact, the region already submitted a few recommendations on a few rights involved. And as we know, the incident is continuing as of the moment, and we cannot finish. The investigation is continuing, Your Honor.
At the
But
least-
as the regional office concludes one issue, they are required to submit it to the commission.
Yes, while you're doing the investigation, at least you should have done something to prevent further violations of human rights. Because hindi na po matitigil, baka hindi na rin matigil ang pag-iimbestiga ninyo. Because while you are investigating, nagagawa pa rin po in continuing violations of human rights. Can we
Yes, yeah.
expect, for example, a report by 5 o'clock this afternoon, Mr. Chair?
That would be impossible, Your Honor, because we will be waiting for the recommendations from the regional office, Your Honor. But
So 5 o'clock tomorrow morning? Or 5 o'clock 3 days later?
Perhaps, Your Honor, after the September 10 meeting of the Commission and Bank, we may have decided on a certain matter.
That will be 1 week from today.
Yes,
And
Your
we're
Honor.
expecting that there are a lot more violations will happen. Am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. A while ago, red tagging was mentioned, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Your Honor.
In the phrase red tagging, who is red? What is red?
Red pertains to the communist, Your Honor.
Can you be more specific?
The CPP, NPA, NDF, Your Honor.
Okay. Why would a person or a group be tagged as sympathetic to the red? Why?
Well, I think that should be answered by the appropriate agency of the government, Your Honor.
Yes, but you committed to study further.
Yes, Your Honor.
And so probably today, you might have an inkling as to why a person could be tagged as red as well.
Actually, Your Honor, there
If
are
you're
very-
sympathetic with the Reds, you can always be tagged as one of them, correct?
It may be possible, Your Honor. There are instances where tagging is not only because you are sympathetic to the red. Well, based on the accounts of victims, Your Honor, the mere fact that they are serving the people, the poor people in a community, they are already tagged. The mere fact that they are advocating for a certain right, they are already tagged. So it depends on it's not up to the commission to answer the question, Your Honor. It's up to the government agencies involved in the
I'm
tagging,
raising
Your
this
Honor.
point, sir, because they can use a defense that we are only trying to help people. Like trying to protect their rights also, your human rights. This representation, for several days already, is fighting for the rights of ABS-CBN workers who have been denied of their rights to compensation, as already ruled by the Supreme Court by way of execution. Until today, they're struggling to get the rightful compensation already awarded by the Supreme Court. Ginawa ko po ito meeting with the NLRC officials themselves, including the Secretary of Labor. But I did that without making any resentment against the government. I did that because I want to help the people. I cannot be red tag, is it not, Mr. Chair?
Well, it's an experience, Your Honor.
You're not answering my question. I cannot be red tag by doing that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, thank you. Yun nga po yung gusto kong sabihin. If that group of persons cannot even, let's say, denounce the doings of the NPA, they can be red tagged, and that's understandable. Am I correct?
I think we have to make this
If I am
term
asked-
red, Your Honor,
If I
clear.
am asked to denounce, for example, the works of the Reds, and I did not do it, I can be red tagged at hindi ako pwedeng sisihin. Tama po?
Well, may mga experiences po ang mga tao na pagka there are instances where people were asked to denounce the CPP, NPA, NDF, and once they refuse, they are tagged. Hindi ho namin ma-deny yun because there are claims.
Pero
that
kung
may
halimbawa
ganyang
po ang
pangyayari.
gagawin nila, yung tulong lang talaga. Huwag mo na silang i-instigate. Sabihin na lang nating tulong lang talaga. Huwag na nating instigate against the government para walang masabi sa atin. Hindi ka mare-red tag, hindi ba, sir?
Wala ho dapat ma-red tag dahil sa pagtulong sa tao.
Yes, sir.
Tama po.
Kung ginagawa mo rin yung tungkulin mo na wala ka nang binabanggit tungkol sa gobyerno, basta tulong lang, simple lang. Tama ba?
Medyo broad ho kasi yung may binabanggit ka kontra sa gobyerno. Dahil ho when you
Pagka
redress
nag-express ka ng
grievances to the
sentiments
government,
kasi, yung grievances kasi,
Yes.
wag mo nang sinasabi na yung grievance against the government. Talaga pong ganun eh. Kailangan nating pagtulong-tulungan ito. Ang government is doing what it can to protect our people. Ganun na lang.
agree po ako doon. Kaya lang isa ho sa fundamental rights guaranteed by the Constitution is to redress government for grievances, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
And
But without-
by addressing the government,
But
their
without
grievances, Your
instilling
Honor,
in the people, no, yung sentimiento against the government, yun ang problema lang. That's the point. That's the dividing line. Para lang hindi tayo ma-red tag so that we can keep ourselves from this side, alam natin yung isang side. There should be a dividing line.
may I be allowed, Your Honor? Kasi ang issue po sa red tagging is that hindi ho yung grievance eh. Hindi yung grievance because that's a fundamental right.
No, but if you are doing
The
that,
fact that-
you might not be an objective person to at least go into into your commitment later on na makakraft tayo ng batas on red tagging because you are already opinionated. I'm only asking you that we should have a dividing line.
Yes, Your Honor, but we have to be clear. What is red?
We are very clear about
red,
it.
red
Excuse me,
is
excuse me.
communism, Your Honor. And the mere fact that you are espousing the ideology of communism does not mean you are violating any law. The problem lies in the fact that CPP and NPA NDF was designated as a terrorist under the anti-terror law. And
Madam
when
Chair,
you are-
last na lang, to cut it short, the NTF-LCAC must do also some preventive measures.
Yes, Your Honor, I agree. In fact,
Okay.
in
Excuse
our
me.
meeting with them, with the
Please allow me
NTF-LCAC,
to first address the chairperson kasi parang nagsagutan na kayo na.
Yes.
No, so,
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
The
yeah,
CHR
okay,
is
so-
apologizing already,
No, no, no.
Madam Chair.
Can you please state your last question?
Yes. I'm trying to stress a point that if we know to observe the dividing line, Madam Chair, you cannot be red tagged. That is the point.
Yes, go ahead, Chairman.
I agree, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Natapos din. Thank you. Okay, so next, hopefully the last interpellator is Vice Chair Loreto Acharon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning to the chairman and other members of the
Sorry,
family
sorry.
of...
Excuse me, hindi pala
Yes.
last. May isa pa tayo. no?
Yeah,
Yung katabi mo. Sige, go ahead.
Okay. Madam Chair, I'm actually supposed to make some questions relative to the staffing of the commission, but I believe most of my questions were asked by another congressman, the Honorable Presnedi. Anyhow, may I just ask just a couple of questions to follow up the questions of Congressman Presnedi about the authorized positions in a figure which I got at 884. Is this correct data?
Yes, Your Honor.
884. And how many positions are expected to be filled in 2025 per your data?
Recruitment plan. We are expected to recruit 191, Your Honor, for next year.
191. So, would you agree with me, Chairman, that the authorized position, Madam Chair, is the same number of authorized positions in the previous years, like in 2022, 2023, and 2024? Ito po ba yung the same figure na 884?
What's the period, Your Honor?
2022, 2023, and 2024. I'm referring to the authorized positions.
Yes, Your Honor, the same.
Okay. And would you agree with me also that the permanent positions for 2025 is the same figure in the years that I've mentioned, 2022, 2023, 2024, more or less? Lagi pong...
Of the authorized position?
Yes, please.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so there is a seeming consistency in the average vacancy from 2022 to 2025, which is around 23.7%. Is that a correct statement of data?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. With this trend of vacancies, is there a suggestion that these positions are not anymore necessary for the running of the agency's affairs? Dahil lagi pong ganito ang figure ng vacancy.
Actually, no, Your Honor, because we have been recruiting, appointing, and there are corresponding resignations, retirement of employees. I think our executive director can answer more accurately, Your Honor.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Your Honor, in 2015, we were blessed by DBM by the grant of 200 additional positions. That is the reason why there was an extraordinary surge in the number of vacancies. Since then, we have strived to fill up the 200 new positions, and we would like to report that.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, that's 2015.
Yes po.
Okay.
And then before that, we had 136 existing vacant positions. In fact, we were already able to fill up the 200 new positions. Only 8 remains unfilled, which are very hard to fill, such as the psychologist 1, 2, and 3. There has been a steady number of recruitment and hiring done over the years. But as the chairperson explained also, as a sound management principle, we also prioritize promotions. Therefore, when we filled up a subsequent vacancy, there was also a consequential vacancy in the position vacated by the person promoted. Aside from that, most of our senior people who joined us in 1987 already were able to reach 35 years of service. So in the past 7 years, we have seen a significant number of our people retiring, and that again added to the number of vacancies. Aside from that, the low compensation of our lawyers accounts for the steady turnover and their application to other agencies with more lucrative salary compensation. That is the reason why, despite the aggressive recruitment that we've been doing over the years, there does not seem to be a significant translation in number of vacancies. However, because we want to make sure that this is finally addressed, we have a catch-up plan. For one, the HRDD is now under my committee, and what we are doing now is clustering those items which we can do simultaneous recruitment and hiring. We have also made sure that we are proactive in the posting of vacancies. We have been writing to colleges so that there will be more applications for lawyers. We have also posted the vacancies in our social media platforms. We have increased the number of recruitment meetings from weekly before to bi-weekly. And then we have also directed our regional offices to speed up the filling also of their vacancies to address this problem, Your Honor.
Thank you. Madam Chair, Mr. Chairman, you are referring to those numbers that you have just stated applies both to the CHR proper and the other the Human Rights Violations Victims Memorial Commission. Is that correct? Magkaiba po.
No, Your Honor, yes, it's separate.
Okay. So, nonetheless, do you have any plan to reassess the number or numbers of authorized positions to maybe align
Your
with the
Honor.
mandate and the staffing needs of the agency?
Yes, Your Honor. In fact, in the proposed CHR charter, we have proposed additional lawyers, investigators, training specialists, and information officers because we see the need to have more people, especially at the provincial level, to cater to the needs in the grassroots level.
Thank you. In the case of, Madam Chair, Mr. Chairman, in the case of lawyers that you are trying to recruit, what would be the minimum requirements for the lawyers? Do they have to be compatible like the chairman? Is there any specific minimum qualification like they have practice or experience human rights violation cases in the past? Is there such a requirement?
None, Your Honor. We only have our basic qualification of being a graduate of law and being engaged in the practice of law at least for a certain number of years.
How many lawyers do you have in the commission? Both in the CHR proper and in the other agency?
Currently, Your Honor, as of June 30, we have 219 filled up positions for lawyers and 36 vacant positions.
I'd like to know what is the age range of the lawyers being recruited or now in the commission. Are they
Your Honor,
young or relatively young or not so old lawyers?
Your Honor, majority are relatively young.
Oh, okay. So they must be, as I say, Madam Chairman, as combative as the chairman. So I think I have no further questions.
Thank you, Your
And I'd like to manifest also my support to the need of or needs of the commission to be increased in their budget, being a very, very vital agency in the pursuit of our democratic principles and policies in our government. Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair Acheron. And next to interpolate is Representative Salvador Plato.
Madam, thank you very much, Madam Chair, sa mga kasama ko sa my dear colleagues at saka kay Chairperson ng Commission on Human Rights, sa kanyang mga kasama, Commission on Human Rights family. I have just a very small inquiry. Earlier, Mr. Chair, you mentioned that you are encouraging the local government units to activate a Human Rights Center. May data po ba tayo dito o ano na ang mga LGUs na may Human Rights Centers? At ilan po dito ang active? Thank you, Mr. Chair. Madam Chair, thank you.
Human Rights Action Centers po. So ito yung nasa Barangay Human Rights Action Center, municipal and provincial level Human Rights Action Centers. We have a total number of 178 activated and in different local government units po ito. And for centers for human rights education, ito naman po yung sa mga educational institutions. We have partnered with 57 higher educational institutions.
Active po lahat po ito? Active lahat?
Active po, yes, Your Honor.
Thank you for that answer. Madam Chair, I would just like to communicate my full support to the Commission on Human Rights, and I believe that your proposal is right for the programs and services under your mandate. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. And may I acknowledge from the minority, Representative Sergio Dagook. Representative Sergio Dagook, you're recognized.
Ako na, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Tahing lumusong pa kasi ako ng baha mula sa bahay, Madam Chair. No? Ang hirap talaga kumita. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. Very general naman po yung tanong ko, Madam Chair. I would just like to, magandang umaga nga pala sa ating taga-human rights, no? Commission on Human Rights. Sa tingin po ba ninyo ay hindi maapektuhan yung trabaho ninyo, yung mandato ninyo dito sa pagbabawas ng budget proposal ninyo?
Go ahead, Chairperson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Malaki ho yung effect actually nung pagbaba doon sa aming proposal. Sapagkat doon ho sa aming proposal, kinonsider na ho namin lahat ng mandato na dapat namin gawin. Kasama na ho yung manpower requirements namin. At kasama na rin ho dyan yung mga different mandates na idinagdag ng Kongreso sa komisyon po at upang gampanan yung iba't ibang tungkulin. So sa pagbabaho niyan ng aming proposal ay maapektuhan siyempre. At isa ho sa mga importanteng maipahayag po namin ay dahil ho sa pagbaba ng budget proposal ho namin, ang isa ho sa mga maapektuhan dito yung mga victims of human rights violation. Dahil bukod do sa magkakaroon ng epekto sa aming how we perform our functions, Ang may direct effect po yung provision of financial assistance to victims of human rights violations. Dahil noong mga unang panahon, medyo mataas po yung ibinibigay na budget for this. Nung itong current year po, 2024, ay ibinaba po ito ng significant amount. Tumaas po siya before due to congressional insertions. Ngayon, binabaho siya for this current year to a budget of 3.8 million from 16, I think, the previous years. Yun ho yung binibigay ho namin na assistance sa mga victims of human rights violations upang tulungan ho sila ipursige yung mga kaso nila. Sa ngayon po, dahil ho naibaba yung budget na yan for the current year, napilitan ho kami magbabarin ng amount from 30,000 to 10,000. And kung magtutuloy-tuloy po, ay magkakaroon ho siguro ulit ng pagbabago doon sa mamimili na lang kung alin yung mga violations na dapat bigyan ng financial assistance. And this will definitely have significant impact po sa mga biktima ng paglabag sa karapatang pantao.
Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, ano po ba yung specific na tulong? Legal lang ba o may other assistance pa?
Well, iba-iba ho yung tulong na binibigay ho ng komisyon. Isa ho yung nabanggit ko sa inyo, yung financial assistance. Maliit hong amount para tulungan ho to defray the expenses in pursuing legal actions against the perpetrators of an offense. Bukod ho dyan, we are providing legal aid services to victims of violations. So legal aid, counseling, assistance in preparation of legal documents and filing of cases in court or appropriate agencies of the government. We also provide other related services, and isa ho sa mga kinukonsider namin yung before that, yun pong witness protection po in case merong at-risk individuals. So we also offer that service. And right now, dinedevelop po namin yung victim support services, kung saan hindi lang legal yung po pwede namin maibigay, kundi pati ho yung other relevant services katulad ng psychosocial intervention to victims of violations and other services po. At mahalaga ho yun dahil aside from looking at the human rights violation on the accountability aspect, dahil nakafocus ho tayo masyado dun sa accountability nung lumabag sa karapatang pantao, na babaliwala ho natin yung kondisyon ng biktima. At mas importante rin hong tignan kasi natin yung biktima ng mga paglabag sa karapatang pantao dahil sila ho yung biktima, sila yung na-violate. So marapat lamang na ibigay natin yung karampatang tulong sa mga biktimang ito.
Madam Chair, sa tingin po ba ng komisyon, anong porsyento po nung mga taong nalalabag ang kanilang karapatan ang natulungan ninyo? Kasi alam ko naman, kahit hindi nyo i-admit, hindi nyo natulungan lahat. So, based on your perspective, anong porsyento kaya yung natulungan ninyo doon sa lahat ng mga Pilipinong nalabag yung kanilang karapatan?
Mahirap kong magbigay ng konkretong porsyento dahil
But, Madam Chair, you admit na hindi lahat natutulungan ninyo.
maaari hong may mga tao na hindi natutulungan.
Is it maaari o talagang hindi lahat natutulungan?
Maaari po bang ako magpaliwanag? Kasi ho, katulad ho ng nabanggit ko kanina, meron ho kami yung lakaran kung tawagin, Human Rights Caravan po ito. Umiikot kami sa buong Pilipinas, different regions of the Philippines. Nakikipag-ugnayan kami sa different stakeholders, the LGU, civil society, and others. Ang isa ho sa learnings ko dito, ako ho mismo kasi yung bumababa dito sa mga regions eh. Ang isa ho sa importanteng learnings ko dito sa ginawa ko kong activity is that may mga insidente ng paglabag sa karapatang pantao na hindi naman nakakarating din sa amin. Ang dahilan po ay una, hindi alam ng tao na may karapatan niya yung nalabag. At pangalawa ho, hindi niya alam kung anong mga mekanismo na nandyan na po pwede niyang gamitin. So may gap po sa ganong pagkakataon, lalong-lalo na ho sa mga lugar na malalayo, sa mga far-flung areas, na remote areas, hindi ho nila alam na nalalabag na yung karapatan nila at hindi nila alam paano nila